Charlotte Motor Speedway. They're lean, they're mean, they're 5 to 7 horses, a man and machine. They're 4 wide before they start to slip and slide. The Coast to Coast Racing League 350A Modifieds, Pro Late Models, and the 360 Sprint Cars.
We are live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. I'm Zach Chapman here with Shaggy TV, ready to bring you the Old Timers Tuesday doubleheader here. We're going to be at Lernerville in the 358 Modifieds for part one, and we're going to pack up and get the Dolaras out and go play on the asphalt a little bit at Daytona International Speedway. But as always, Mauer Farm Management picking up the dirt side of things here for Old Timers Tuesday. Couldn't do it without you guys there at Mauer Farm Management. Vital part to the league, and the checkered flag waves. Terry Landis does a donut there in the milk machine coming out of 4 before it closes out, and just like that, we're going to get ready to go into heat race number 1. No qualifying here on the dirt side. Random draws, so got to work with what you pull out of the bucket. And rounding out the field inside of row number 4 for heat race number 1, the 161 of the Desert Demon, Terry Landis. Row number 3 to the outside in the 110, Kelly Wheeler. And to his inside, the 94 of Gary Offit. Row number 2 on the outside, the 143 of Scott Zeneker. And to his inside, the librarian in the 41, Pat Boyce. Row number 1 for heat race number 1 to the outside in the 747, the batsman Roger Craig. And his inside in the 888, Steve Mauer. Still waiting on someone to grid here. Gary Offit, I believe. Not going to make the call here for heat race number 1. Will still make the feature. No harm, no foul. Just going to have to work his way on up through the racetrack. So the Bassman drive through. Steve Maurer right after him on the inside. Should be a good race here at the Lernerville Speedway. A lot of grip still left on the bottom side of the track. So you're going to have time, and my fault for having the time up there. I was doing some 24-hour racing. We got it fixed, and the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 6 laps to play in the clay at the Lernerville Speedway as the 888 of Steve Maurer drives it into turn 1. But looky-who on the top shelf. The Bassman trying to find a way to hook that thing on the top shelf. And as they enter turn 3, he's going to get the run off of 4. Loses the rear end a little bit. The new leader out front, the Bassman, Roger Craig. See him come down the backstretch here. Almost 3 wide as the Desert Demon taking a peek. Look at him running downstairs. Floats up the racetrack. Just can't find the momentum in the 161. Oh, car around. Kelly Wheeler in the 110. Terry Landis involved. Scott Zeneker also involved in the 143. And the Bassman rolling around at the halfway point, going down the backstretch. Can anybody find a way to park it in front of the Bassman with popsicle sticks in the air? 2 more trips around. They're going to have to get it together, and I don't know if Steve can do it because, well, up until turn 1, gets the commentator's curse. Pat Boyce was reeling the 888 in, but with the white flags in the air, final time around for the Bassman. Roger, does he experiment a little bit, or does he stay true to what got him here? I would sit tight and hold on. But as they roll through 4, the checkered flag flies. The Bassman takes home heat race number 1. Steve Maurer P2, Pat Boyce 3rd, Terry Landis 4th, Kelly Wheeler 5th, Scott Zeneker 6th, and Gary Offit did end up pulling out on the racetrack here in the 94, but finishes a lap down, and we'll start at the tail end of the field here, or in the inside row anyway. Tonight's feature at the Lernerville Speedway as we get ready for heat race number 2. Rounding out the field inside of row number 4, the 789 of Cale Bixler. Row number 3 to the outside, the 014 of G.J. Boydell. And to his inside in the 531, Armando Melgoza. Row number 2 to the outside in the 4, Greg Parmalee, and to his inside, the 302 of John Rayner. Row number 1 for heat race number 2. Who's going to start on the outside of the front row? On the outside, Dean Reynolds, and to his inside, the 75, the Mayor, Steve Bixler. As the Steve King Foundation pace car gets ready, pulls off the racing surface. We see the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. The Mayor drops the hammer, and we're racing heat race number 2 at the Lernerville Speedway. Steve Bixler thinks about trying to throw that slider, but can't mount the charge. John Rayner tries to capitalize with a run underneath. Can't do it. Slows up. Hops on the outside, and there's 3 wide behind him. G.J. Boydell gets a little bump from the 4 Greg Parmalee, and the 789 trying to get it done downstairs. Meanwhile, out front, Dino's riding off into the sunset, but the battle's on behind. G.J. Boydell to the inside. He makes contact with the Mayor, hard into the inside wall, and Greg Boydell up and over in heat race number 2. Cale Bixler trying, contact between the 4 and the 302 of John Rayner. That's going to spread out the field. Cale Bixler moves on up to P3. Dean Reynolds, and actually, you know what? Let's sit it here. Turn number 4. Here comes Dino. Let's look at the lead. as they get the popsicle sticks. 2 more trips around. Dean Reynolds trying to just be a smooth operator out there and bring it home. Greg Parmalee, he'd like to get one more starting spot in that feature, but he's running out of time. The white flag flies. Dean Reynolds, you saw him there go under the stripe. Half a lap to go for the man in the 79. Who you gotta think has to be the favorite coming into tonight, starting on the front row on the outside. Dean Reynolds wins heat race number 2, followed by Steve Bixler, Cale Bixler, Greg Parmalee, John Rayner, GJ Boydell, and Armando Melgoza never made the call. We're going to take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we will be right back with your 358 modified feature at the Lernerville Speedway. Stick around. You saw it there if you've been paying attention this week. Gonna be some fun going on here in the Coast to Coast Racing League. February 16th to February 20th. The Coast to Coast Racing League and Extreme eSpeed TV proudly present the 2nd annual Coast to Coast Speed Week, with all proceeds benefiting the Steve King Foundation. Join us for an adrenaline-fueled journey. 2 tracks, 10 cars, 10 races, over $500 in payouts. Door prizes. Go to www.C2CRL to register. And I'm telling you, the races that I'm not broadcasting, I'm going to try to be there, as long as I think I may have a NASCAR race to do that Sunday, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to try to be there for the ones that I can. It's definitely going to be a blast, going to be a good time. But let's go ahead. Let's take a look here at the starting lineup for tonight's main event here at the Lernerville Speedway. Outside of row number 7 in the 531, Armando Melgoza into his inside, the 531, the 94 of Gary Offit. Outside of row number 6, the 014 of GJ Boydell. Into his inside, the 143 of Scott Zeneker. Row number 5 to the outside, the 302 John Rayner. Into his inside, the 110 of Kelly Wheeler. Row number 4, Greg Parmalee on the outside in the 4. Into his inside, the Desert Demon, Terry Landis. Cale Bixler lines up on the outside of row number 3 in the 789. Into his inside, the 41 of Pat Boyce. Row number 2, the Mayor, Steve Bixler on the outside. Into his inside, the 888 of Steve Maurer. Row number 1 for your 358 modified feature at the Lernerville Speedway. To the outside in the 79, Dean Reynolds. And to his inside, the 747 of the best man, Roger Craig. We try and make that go away. There she goes. We take a look at the 747 and Dean Reynolds in the 79 side by side for the final time as we roll through 3 and 4. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 25 laps to play in the clay at Lernerville Speedway. We're underway. Oh, Terry Landis loops around, and man, that didn't last long. No caution here just yet at the Lernerville Speedway as we race on. Man, oh man, that's gonna hurt a lot of drivers. They're gonna need something to help them catch up, and they might get it. Cale Bixler into the, I believe that was the 888 of Steve Maurer. We're going to go back. We're going to diagnose a couple of these wrecks here. Let's go back to the first one. This is Terry Landis. We're going to follow that yellow and blue car on the inside. Let's see. Can we get a good picture? He looks to the inside. He gets a little kiss from the 110 of Kelly Wheeler. He goes around. That's how that one ships off. Now let's go see if we can take a look here at what actually brought out the caution. I saw the 789 of Cale Bixler. Steve Maurer comes up, slides in front of him. Cale gets a shot from the librarian. He gets moved up into the 888. Nothing the 789 of Cale Bixler could do there. He was just caught out. I mean, you get clunked from the inside, nothing you can do. He's just trying to hold on to that thing and, well, wasn't able to do that. As we're under caution for the first time here at the Lernerville Speedway. As the 79 of Dean Reynolds leads the way early on. If you're out there watching, let us know who you're rooting for tonight. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Don't miss a show here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Always bringing you good, clean racing action. And, well, we try to bring a somewhat family environment. It may slip out of my mouth every now and then, but I think I've done a pretty good job here of keeping it PG as the Steve King Foundation pace car rolls off the racetrack. And we're going to see, is the green flag high? Yes, she is, and she's ready to fly. The 79 of Dean Reynolds drops the hammer. Oh, Steve Bixler pushes up the racetrack. Greg Boydell caught up again, and no caution, but GJ Boydell is going to have to, he's going to be wondering what he's got to do. As Steve Bixler bouncing around, he falls on back a little bit. Cale Bixler gets into the back of the 94. He's got to check up traffic jam. Greg Boydell to the inside. He gets into the 302. John Rayner up into the wall. No caution for the 302. Out front, Dean Reynolds doing a good job of just trying to separate himself from the rest of the field. As you see, a little strung out until we get to the back here. The 789 Cale Bixler. That's really the first battle. As he was up there 2 or 3 spots higher, but got into the back of the 94 and really had to check up. And since then, he's trying to recoup some of those positions as he's looking at the tail tank. 2 cars up the road. His dad in the 75, Steve Bixler. Dean Reynolds slugging away here, lap number 19. He knows he doesn't need to push this thing too hard. May want to develop a lead here so he can not ride the rim. Even if the outside turns into the fast lane, he can just take it easy and behave himself. And I think that's what we're going to see is, man, the mayor, Steve Bixler, he's back there battling. But let's watch some of the lines off 4. Greg Parmalee in the 4 going up to the top shelf. The 94 of Gary Offit really swinging it up there. But we got a car around the 110 of Kelly Wheeler. Good job by the 302 of John Rayner. Really had to get on the binders or he was going to get into the side there of the 110. But we are under caution the second time at the Lernerville Speedway. Looking at the outside, Kelly Wheeler, the 014 of Greg Boydell to the inside. Comes up the track a little late. Probably didn't think there was going to be a slide job involved. And by that point here, let's go back. Let's try to ride on board with the 110 of Kelly Wheeler. That, this normally gives you a feel, as long as they're not running VR, what they can see on the single monitor. See nothing, you see nothing, you see it there. And at this point, I mean, it definitely is a really, really late slider. But Kelly, late in the race, kind of running towards the back. Maybe you go into self-preservation and lift that throttle, go back at him with a slide job for later. Because at that point, that late and the front stretch creeping up on you, you're the one who's going to get hurt by that. Whether it's a bonehead move from the guy on the inside or not, that's always up for debate. But at that point, it becomes, do I want to continue this race? Do I want to make it, till the end? And if you're trying to be too aggressive, sometimes that can show up in the point standings at the end of a long season. But the lights are off on the Steve King Foundation pace car. The drivers get ready to pace down the backstretch for the final time before we drop the hammer and go back racing. There will be 16 laps to go at the Lernerville Speedway. It's Dean Reynolds playing the tortoise right now, bringing him to a crawl as we go through 3 and 4. He drops the hammer. Good restart for the 79 as the rest of the field behind him checking up, bunching up a little bit. They're 3 wide. Cale Bixler to the inside, but Scott Zeneker, man, he made quick time of that. Right out of the middle in 1 and 2 and moves himself up 2 spots. Scott Zeneker started 11th. First time Shaggy's talked to this guy or has even mentioned this guy in the 143. He's a newbie to me, but he's quick out here, and he's getting ready to play with the boys. Side by side, gets into the 4. Oh, the 94 coming up. Big slide job downstairs from G.J. Boydell as 2 guys go off in 1 and 2. And Greg Boydell, 4 guys in 1 corner through 1 and 2. Where did the 014 come from? Battle heating up for P2 as Chocolate Water trying to find a way around the Bassman. Can the Yoo-Hoo Man find some grip coming out of 4 this time? The answer is no. Not able to pull up to the door of the 747 just yet. Oh, he's got a checkup. The Bassman loses the rear end coming off the corner, comes down, and all of a sudden he takes a peek upstairs, and there's the Iron Man. G.J. Boydell moving on up into the final podium spot. Kelly Wheeler in the 110. He's had his fair share of bad luck tonight. Unfortunate events. Able to battle back up to 7th as he almost gets into the back of Scott Zeneker. But here comes G.J. Boydell. Looking to the inside of the Bassman. Gets the elbows out. Nudges the 747. With 9 laps to go this time by, can GJ find a way on by? Or is this what the Desert Demon and the 789 of Cale Bixler want to see as they're ripping the top shelf off of 2, trying to come back and play? 8 laps to go as Greg Boydell to the outside. Battle for P2. Roger sends it back in. Can't find the traction in Greg Boydell. Says, come here, kitty, 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 driving off into 3 and 4. Can Greg Boydell get up here and play with your leader in the 79? The Desert Demon looking low. He's got to check up, and the 789's got to do the same. The Desert Demon showed him the rear end with 6 laps to go. Let's bring up your lap times here. Shaggy's just as curious as you are. Well, there's your answer. Greg Boydell, fastest car on the track. Your last 3 laps out of the front 2. What can the 014 do this time? And is it time? Well, there you see it. Dean Reynolds moves up to the top shelf in 3 and 4. He knows it's go time. He's ready to protect, and I think it was a case of playing conservative, like I was saying earlier. Build that lead up, play it safe. But the battle heating up here for third. Cale Bixler involved. Here comes Kelly Wheeler, Terry Landis, all still trying to find a way around the Bassman in the 747. 3 laps to go. The Desert Demon got a lift out of the throttle. Cale Bixler doing the same as Kelly Wheeler dives to the inside. Cale goes over the top shelf, and it's good night for the 789. Running out of time. Popsicle sticks in the air. 2 more trips around. Through 1 and 2, Greg Boydell is close to the 79 of Dean Reynolds, as he's been all races. We jump on the nose. The white flags are flying. 1 more trip around. Greg sends it into 1 and 2, but loses the rear end in the middle of the corner. Dean Reynolds with a huge runoff. And your final time through 3 and 4. Dean Reynolds taking home the checkered flags at the Lernerville Speedway. Greg Boydell, P2, and the Desert Demon Terry Landis steals the podium. Kelly Wheeler, 4th. Roger Craig, 5th. Rounding out your top 5. Steve Maurer, Steven Bixler, John Rayner, Scott Zeneker, and Cale Bixler, your top 10, as the man in the 79 gets it done one more time. And huge shout out to Dean Reynolds on another amazing run here at the Lernerville Speedway. You put this guy in a machine on dirt. He's ready to play. We'll give these guys a minute or 2 here to catch their breath. Get a word with our drivers. Let's see, we'll wait on Terry Landis here as he is our 3rd place finisher. The Desert Demon in the 161. Already up here in the booth. And, well, Terry, I'm going to pull you up before you're allowed to talk to anyone here, so I can't.
Yeah, I'm all by myself.
Yeah, man. But, you know, you played the patience game, Terry, and there are so many instances tonight where we saw guys not lift out of the throttle. Maybe get a little too aggressive, and boy, oh boy, Desert Demon, it paid off for you, man. You played the long game, and you end up on the podium. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great, especially hearing these modifieds running the top like that. You know, yeah, that's what I tell all guys on a team. If somebody puts their front end in between the guy in front of them's right rear and the wall, it's their fault. You know, the guy doesn't know that he's back there and where he's at. You know, he might hear him, but he doesn't know exactly where he's at. So if you put your front end in there, it's your own fault. So that's what I was trying to do with Roger. You know, try not to do.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, Terry. At that point, you know, when you can see the guy's right rear coming up at you, it's your responsibility to jam those brakes or lift out of the throttle, cut under him, and, you know, give it back to him in the next corner if you're that upset about it. But it's about self-preservation at that point in time, you know, especially here, no walls. You're going to be the one who pays for it, not that guy on the inside. And you
exactly.
Yeah, man, and you showed tonight in that Galen's Popcorn Yoo-Hoo machine, patience pays off. And, well, I know Dean's going to be tough here if he keeps running these races and winning, but Terry, you're keeping yourself in the points championship with another good run. Congratulations, man. Who you want to thank?
Thanks, Shaggy. Well, you, of course, and Mara Farm Management for putting it on, and Yoo-Hoo and Craig's Oval Track Parts and Galen's Homegrown Popcorn. Put word cart in the code, and you'll get 15% off.
Well, hey,
and
great.
My wife, Judy.
Oh, yeah, man. I almost interrupted that. Boy, Judy would have been mad at me for a second.
That's all right.
That was close. But, Hey,
Yeah.
heck of a
And
job, Terry. And man, what are you thinking about the Delaras here at Daytona? You excited? You
oh yeah, I'm
anxious?
looking
What's the
forward to
deal?
them. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what happens out there. But yeah,
Now,
good. Oh, well, go ahead.
I want to steal information out of you because maybe you know we're gonna have to pit in those now too, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking we were gonna too. I just didn't want to sound dumb.
Yeah, because that's how we decided this year was we're gonna make it have to pit, make it more interesting.
Oh, I definitely agree. And well, you know as well as I do, man, getting in pit road, that's going to be a fight in itself here if you got to do that under green. So I'll let you go practice, Terry, but
Yeah.
congratulations, man. Good run.
All right, thanks, and shout out for Roger. That was a heck of a run we were having. That was pretty much fun.
Yeah, you
And
guys were. You were the highlight of the broadcast there for about 5 or 6 laps. That's for sure. You guys were having a lot of fun. And then, well, Kelly Wheeler got involved there, man. Cale
yeah,
Bixler was in
I
there for
heard
a
him
little
coming.
bit. There
I
were a
know it
lot
was
of
a
you
hell of a
guys.
run.
Yeah, great run, Terry. And like I say, man, good luck here at Daytona.
All right, thanks, Shaggy.
That's your P3 finisher. Terry Landis in the 161 is. We'll see if we can. Oh, I pulled up the wrong guy. We're going to send Dean right back down where he was. And we're going to pull up the guy I meant to grab in the 014 GJ Boydell. Man, Greg, that thing was a rocket ship. I saw you. Bad luck in the heats. You had to start in the back. Bad luck on a restart. You get bounced around. And, man, you're able to crawl up and still get on the podium. You think with a couple more laps you could have maybe flirted with Dino? I mean, you were running him down.
Yeah, a couple more laps, and you never know. I wasn't going to take any chances, though, and wreck him. Be smooth and fast. That's it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's all about being smooth and fast here at the Lernerville Speedway. You were one of the first ones to really go up there and test that outside, Greg, and try to make up some time. How difficult is it to ride that edge through 3 and 4 and be as smooth as you are?
It's difficult. It takes a lot of practice, and you got to find that fine line. It's like running a NASCAR Cup car up against the wall at Michigan or something. It's you're going to fail more times than you're going to get it, but once you get it, you're golden.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that feeling once you get it too, that helps you through the rest of the race, man. Got you feeling like $1 million. And Greg, you sure raced like it, man. Like I said, not enough can be said. You had a really difficult start to this race, none of your own doing, and you're still able to bring this thing back up to second. Great job, Iron Man, and who you want to thank, brother?
We got to thank Moyer Farm Management and you for doing the broadcasts, and everybody at C2C and the people out at Ashweekend, and we're looking forward to having the World of Outlaws May 13th and 14th this spring. And I got to apologize to Dean. He slowed down after the checkered, and I bumped him. So my apologies.
Yes, hey, stuff's gonna happen. At the end of the day, you're both still on the podium. So great run, Greg, and man, I look forward to seeing what you got in this Dallara, especially now with the pit stops. Do we think we're going to get some strategy to play out tonight, or do you think most of the pit stops are going to be under caution?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting because we're trying something new tonight. Actually, we are not going to have damage on. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But I think most of the pit stops will happen under yellow. Yeah.
Well, the damage problem's solved, but now we just got to make sure if there's any contact, we land on all 4 wheels tonight, and then don't have to tow. But
yeah.
But yeah, hey, heck of a run, Greg, and man, I look forward to talking to you after Daytona. You're definitely one of the favorites going in. Good luck, man.
Thanks, I appreciate that, and we'll see what we can do. We'll roll the dice and go have some fun.
That's what it's all about. Congratulations on the P2. Good luck, Greg. That's your P2 finisher, Greg Boydell. And now we bring up the winner here in the 79. I told you, if he could win that heat race, start on the outside of the front row, it was curtains. And Dino, man, you drove off into the sunset. And, well, it's easy for me to, hype
I was
going
going to say, when Greg second. It wasn't the sunset.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I want some honesty out of you, okay? Because, obviously I can hype up the broadcast. Greg's running you down. But how much of that is the 79 car having a second lead with about 8 laps to go and maybe just taking it easy so he brings home the checkered flag?
Well, I ran. It wasn't really taking it easy. I ran another league race here a week and a half ago, and the bottom by the grass became the fast lane. And it was a track that was similar to this, where the top was worn out pretty good, and the bottom still had some tack. So I said, you know what? I followed Sam Bachman in that race, and I'm like, oh my God. And I wound up passing like 4 cars in the last 6 laps running the bottom, which I never do here. You know me. I'm right up top and let her eat and just let it go. And I said, I'm just going to stay here and look at the relative until anything gets closer. And I was inching out on Roger. Then I saw Greg got in second. And within 2 laps, he cut my lead in half. And I'm like, okay. So I actually looked in my mirror because I want to know where he's going. And I saw him up top in 3 and 4. I said, yep, that's okay. I'm going up. So I went up top 3 and 4, but I also went up top in 1 and 2 because I didn't know what he was doing in 1 and 2 because I just saw him on top of 3 and 4. That didn't work because he was right underneath me coming at it too. So I'm like, okay, let's pull up our britches and let's send her into 3 and without going over. But Greg is so good in 358s. I don't know if you remember, he flat out beat me and Anthony at Limaland in a matinee. And he actually passed Anthony for the win. He is so good in 358s. That's his car, and you can never sell Greg short.
No, I mean, he turned it on there at the end, and, well, like I say, I thought I was doing my job just trying to hype that thing up, but it sounds like, he was coming for you there at the end, and, well, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but maybe a couple more laps, and we're talking to you earlier than him, Dean, but, hey, 25 laps tonight, had enough to get it done once again. Congratulations, my man. Who you want to thank?
Well, I'm going to get a little bit better at this because I'm listening to how Morano and Salas does all this. I still don't have it written down on my screen like Morano does. He has it taped to the screen so he can read the things off. But first, I got to thank the guys from Full Throttle Motorsports. As always, they help out this old guy and just try to keep me as fast as I can. And I'm proud to be the slowest member of FTM, but we'll still bring some speed every now and then. So got to thank those guys. Now, because I run a different wrap every race, I got to thank the guys that are doing my wraps. I don't do that. I'm not right. Isaac does. Anthony does. Everyone does. This is actually, I got to thank DJ from DJ Sim Shop. It's Dylan Dewart that did this wrap in-house. He actually does a lot of our FTM wraps, so he did this one. So I got to thank him. Got to thank my employer, Super Dirt Car Series, World of Outlaws, and Dirt Vision. If I didn't make the money, I wouldn't be able to afford this $14 Walmart table I got my rig sitting on. So and the $70 gaming chair I'm sitting in. So I got to thank them. So got to thank Steve Mallor Farm Management for doing supporting us with some money to have you doing the broadcast. And like I said, it's always a joy to have you broadcast these because this is one of the races these guys get to run in front of their families because they don't do a lot of league racing. So I'm glad you do that. So which is really cool. Got to thank Anthony Morano's wife Sherry. We got to thank Isaac's girlfriend Kelsey. I got a list now. I'm doing good here. So I got to thank Swan Speed Shop for the dig. Swanee's always working hard on his setups for his 358s and big blocks. Got to thank them, and got to thank Shaggy TV. As always, Shaggy, you're doing a lot of work for everybody in a lot of different leagues, and we appreciate all the work you're doing. And I'm glad you're healthy and doing better. So how am I getting? Am I getting better, Shaggy?
Yeah, man, you're getting much better. Much, much better. That was smooth as silk. Looking forward to maybe hearing you try to run it back again next week, Dino. What do you say?
Next week I'll be here, and then I'll be gone for a week because I'll be in Florida. So, that's why I'm trying to get as many points as I can. I heard Greg apologize. That's a class act because, I had a 0X, and he got into me at the end there. I slowed down a little bit. Maybe I slowed down too early, and he got into me, and I got a 2X. That's a 5-point went the wrong way right there. And, hopefully it doesn't come back to haunt me. But it happens. I mean, it just, I should have carried it around a little deeper. So, probably the blame's put on me on that. So, but we're going to give it a shot. Shaggy, I think I'm just going to miss 1 or 2, and hopefully we can bring trophy home at the end of the year. But between Greg and Kelly Wheeler and Jeff Barker and Steven Bixler and Cale Bixler, there's a lot of fast cats here. So we got to keep the elbows up.
Yeah, seeing those nice trophies though that Terry posted, that's got to make you want it a little bit more though, right?
Yeah, I only have one because of my schedule. I do have a matinee 358 trophy, but that's the only one I got because I can't really go for championships. And when I can, in the other leagues, I mean, with these FTM guys now, just so good and as improved as they all gotten. But Anthony was always fast, but now you got Sam. Sam's so good on the bottom and top, and now Dylan's getting faster, and Scotty's got a little bit better equipment. He's getting faster than me, so it's gonna be tougher to win these night races. These FTM guys are sweeping podiums and giving Isaac a little challenge here, but we'll keep digging.
Yeah, man, that competitive racing makes everybody out there stronger, and it looks damn good on the broadcast as well as you did tonight, Dino. Congratulations, man, and I look forward to maybe talking to you again this week.
All right, brother. Thank you. And I'll be the admin tomorrow for Hometown Hero, so we'll see you then.
Alrighty, sounds good, Dino. Congratulations,
Thanks, brother.
The 79 of Dean Reynolds gets it done at the Lernerville Speedway, and we're going to take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. And when we load back up, we're going to have the Dallara DW12s at the Daytona International Speedway for the Masked Avenger portion of Old Timers Tuesday. So stick around. I'm Zach Chapman here with Shaggy TV, and we'll be right back after a quick word.
It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion. Trying to be a
bit of a hiatus, so let's get. Tonight when we talked about it.
outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
We're back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. And we're going to do something a little different here just because, well, we got some big events coming up here in the Coast to Coast Racing League. So when these guys roll to qualifying, whenever qualifying's over, I can cut it short. But we're going to play a little promo for a big speed week we got coming up. And it's, of course, the 2nd annual Coast to Coast Speed Week, with all proceeds benefiting the Steve King Foundation. Join us for an adrenaline-fueled journey. 2 tracks, 10 cars, 10 races, $500 in payouts, door prizes, and that's, of course, going to be from Sunday, February 16th to Thursday, February 20th. Open to everyone, I believe. Go to C2CRL.com. Of course, a donation is required, I believe. I think the minimum is 15 or maybe it's even 10, but let's say 20. You know, come on, get it out there. It's for the Steve King Foundation. It's a great cause. And we're going to watch a quick video about that, and we're going to be right back with a little racing action here in the Dolores at Daytona. Stick around. Well, with qualifying all wrapped up, let's take a look and see how it shook out. The outside of row number 7 in the 131, Stu Wright into his inside, the mayor, Steve Bixley. Row number 6 on the high side, the 143 of Scott Zeneker. Into his inside, the Desert Demon in the 161, Terry Landis. Row number 5 on the top shelf, the 789 of Cale Bixler. Into his inside, gonna see if he can hook him up tonight, the Bassman in the 747, Roger Craig. Row number 4 on the high side, the librarian Pat Boyce, into his inside, the 302 of John Rayner. Row number 3 on the high side, the 888 of Steve Maurer, and to his inside in the 37, Tim Chapman. Row number 2, the 012 of Bob Curtis, lines up on the high side, and to his inside, the 4 of Greg Parmalee. Row number 1 for your main event here at the Daytona Speedway, presented by the Masked Avenger race team. Outside of the front row, the 014 of GJ Boydell, and to his inside, the 94 of Gary Offit. 40 laps here at the Daytona Speedway. No damage here in the Delaras from what I'm understanding. They're running this with damage off, so we'll see if that entices drivers to be more aggressive, or, well, I assume that's going to be the way I'd say, or maybe more forgiving, but I don't know if it can go that way. Let's see. Can they trick me? Can they figure it out here as we get ready to roll? The Steve King Foundation pace car is going to get ready to pull off down pit lane. And the 94 of Gary Offit is going to bring us to the starting stand as the green flag waves. 40 laps at the beach here in Daytona International Speedway. Cars bouncing around here. That was John Rayner in the early goings. As you look a couple... hard into the outside wall. Oh, man, I thought somebody said they turned damage off. Boy, oh boy, damage is on, it looks like. And, man, hard wreck here in the early stages of your 40 laps at Daytona. I believe we're going to need to go back a little bit further than that. Let's see, I can't really think of anything that would spark this other than just him going down on the apron. Maybe flinches a little bit. That purple machine comes down ever so slightly. Clips the apron on corner entry, and he just loses it. Comes up the racetrack. The PBR machine with nowhere to go. He loses his right front. Roger Craig loses the whole nose. Terry Landis involved. Man, oh man, a lot of cars involved here in the early stages. We find our leader, Gary Offit, as he tries to come in contact with the Steve King Foundation pace car and tighten this field back up. So let's see here. Can we go? There he goes, coming up on the pace car. It's Greg Boydell, the Looney Tunes machine. Does anybody come down and top off after a few laps? It's going to be tough to tell. Greg Parmalee. And the blue and white machine. He stays out there. Tim Chapman behind him. He stays out there in the 37. And some drivers They've already come down, made their repairs. It looks like everybody is out on the racetrack. Pace around one more time. And with the drivers being out on the racetrack, personally, I wouldn't be surprised if... There we go. We see the lights go off. That's what I was going to say. See them cut this short. That way they can just get some more laps. Green flag. This league is all about fun. You've got to be over the age of 55 to run this thing. And I believe up until maybe 10 to go. I think it's 5, but I'm going to be safe and say 10, so I know I'm covered. You can get your lap back. They'll give you a wave around. You know, we're just here to have fun. Everybody wants to have a good time. That's what this is about. And they do a really, really great job of having a good time. Get a nightly phone call from my dad after this talking about how well he did or how well he didn't do. But they all enjoy it. I'm telling you, it's one of the highlights. Really look forward to it. Goes back to what Dino says. You know, these guys, sometimes with working and everything, families, it's maybe the only league they get to run, some of these guys that's broadcasted. And it's a real good time. I know that's the way that man that we're looking at in the 37, my dad is. He doesn't really get a chance to run much other league races, so I know he enjoys it. And Greg Boydell, man, he might enjoy it a lot more here if he could get a double podium tonight as we roll out of 3 and 4 for the final time. And so the drivers drive off, lights are off. Steve King Foundation pace car will pull down pit road as we go to the starter stand. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Gary off. It drops the hammer. Great restart from Greg Parmalee as well. But man, now the 94 maybe misses a shift or something. Not too sure, but the high side gets rolling. Greg Boydell goes around, and Tim Chapman playing a game of follow the leader, looking to move his way on up as we're side by side battling for 7th and 8th. 6th and 7th, excuse me. Caution flag flies one more time, and Scott Seneker down on the inside. We'll have to see if we can diagnose what happened to the 43. As we're under caution, he hits that apron. Had he already hit the apron before that? Oh, okay. He didn't just hit the apron. I glanced down at my little control panel here. Let's get a better view of that. It sure looked like he got some help in the middle of the corner to Shaggy, but let's wait and see. Watching that green, white, and blue car, he in fact does get a lot of help, and man, Seneker tries to save that thing, not able to, comes back up and absolutely obliterates the guy who tagged him going into the corner. Well, they're able to roll on. Not sure if, because it looked like, man, not too sure if they went down pit road. Oh, contact under caution. Now I'm going to see if the pieces come back. Okay, they do. So that might just be a visual thing here for the damage. It's just a visual damage, and then the car comes back. Because John Rayner, he got the rear wing back. So, okay, damage looks like it's on. It's visual damage only. That's reassuring. And we're coming to lap 6 here. Already 2 cautions here at the Daytona International Speedway. Well, if you want to drive your way up through the front and get a run at this man in the 014, you're going to have to figure it out quick. You're going to have to tell the boys to behave. It's not going to be easy to pick your way on up through the back if we're having all these accidents. But one guy who has been able to do that, Stu Wright, started at the tail end of the field in the 131, and this man's moved himself up into the top 5, feeling confident early on. Will it translate to a podium here tonight for the 131? Is go down the back, or drivers get ready to go down the backstretch. See, it looks like to me the lights are off on the Steed King Foundation pace car. We'll be going back green this time. Greg Boydell to the inside, Tim Chapman to the outside. Look, we've had a big mover with Steve Maurer, kind of the sinker here. He'd like to get this thing back rolling. Started 6th. Currently running 13th in that 888, but Steve Maurer knows. Long, long way to go here. Lights are off. Gonna get ready to pull down pit road this time. See the drivers rolling down. Pace car's off. Greg Boydell drops the hammer, and we're back racing. Good jump from Gary Offit on the inside again. Opposite of last time. Kind of got hung up on the high side. Was able to... on the bottom, was able to allow 2 drivers to go by on the high side because of the bad restart. Does a much better job this time, able to stay in tow with the 37 of Tim Chapman, who's trying to find some draft off GJ Boydell. Greg goes to the top trying to break that tow, and doing a good job right now running out front as we see Cale Bixler working his way to the bottom, able to go around Stu Wright. The Desert Demon Terry Landis, he's ready to roll. He's got that thing grooving. Well, let's go back out. It looks like, yeah, we can't. There's 2x2. He's going to ride on board with him, but let's see what happens. Could be chaos. But, man, oh, man, Gary Offit to the inside. Cale Bixler to the outside. Terry Landis trying to pull the boys on the outside back into play. Does just that. Oh, Cale's got to lift it a little bit. Coming up on the front 2 here, Greg Boydell and Tim Chapman wanted to try to pull away, not able to here as we come to the starter stand. Lap 9 underway. Terry Landis fighting ever so hard on the outside. Oh, Gary Offit bouncing around. Man, oh man, Greg Parmalee, good job of being aware and on the horn. Cracks out of the throttle, lets him gather it up, but boy, that could have been bad. Pat Boyce with the fastest lap of the race last lap. Not that that means anything, but it does a little bit. These guys got to line up. They got to behave if they want to get back into this thing. Tim Chapman with a quick little blink in front of the Desert Demon. Or it may not have been Tim, actually. May have been Cale. Couldn't tell who it was. Just saw a quick blink. Maybe the bottom car, maybe they both did there at different points, but right now, new guy in P2, Stu, right here he goes, looking to the lead, side by side as we, 3 wide, is this gonna work? No, it's not, is the answer, and we're under caution for the 3rd time. As we'll have to go back and break down what happened. Tim goes to the high side and they go 3 wide. We'll go in the aerial. Was there contact made? I'm going to try to go to that Chapman Racing drone camera. Try number 2 here. This is where we'll get the best view. We'll slow it down. Plenty of room here, not too sure. They get close to touching. It doesn't look like Greg and Tim ever touched, and then Greg goes down, and we've seen it before with these cars, some of the worst net code imaginable. I mean, look at this. We got to find a better way to pause that there. But that's god awful. There is that much of a gap, and then we'll see. We'll play this again. The car is going to yank up the racetrack. Then him and Tim get into it, but Greg going to be the one who really pays for it. And 3 wide, yeah, it can be done on this racetrack, but not when the game doesn't help you out and you throw a bit of netcode in there. Third caution of the day, and some of your leaders up front going to pit. Does anyone stay out? It does not look like it. Let's see here. Can we get a decent view here? Looks like we can. Of all the drivers coming down pit road, who wins the race off of pit road? As it looks like it's going to be Cale Bixler. No need for tires. I would have clicked them off as well. Tim Chapman and Pat Boyce side by side. Who won that race off pit road? Give it to the PBR machine. Pat Boyce and Tim Chapman side by side coming off of pit road. The Bassman up to P2. Big mover for the Bassman. And, well, now some of these guys that were running up front gotta play in the back a little bit here. They're going to have to figure it out. Terry Landis and Greg Boydell. They must have landed on the lid there, which is what I joked about with Greg. With Terry. One of them. Damn, I said damage may not hurt. But you got to land on all 4, and that's definitely not all 4. He goes up and over. Terry Landis stays up and over. That's why 2 drivers still sitting on pit road. Once again, thank you for tuning in to the Coast to Coast Racing Network. All your racing needs here is Tim Chapman going to come in and pit one more time. Maybe he thinks he can do this on one more stop. If he pits now, some other drivers maybe agree. And everybody 4th place on back. Coming down pit road one more time. Imagine this will just be quick gas stops. Let's see, how quick do the boys get in and out? Tim Chapman first car on. Will he be the first car off? The answer is yes. Kerry Offit, can he get P2? No. Greg Parmalee with a good run there on the outside coming out of the pits. Or John Rayner, in the 302. Good pit stop for John Rayner. Lights are off here, so thought about pulling up a driver, but we won't trouble him here with the lights off. The next time we'll see if we can get a word with one of our lovely drivers currently out here trying to wheel around the Dallara machine. Maybe we'll bring up Cale Bixler, actually. Well, let's... Oh, God darn it, Shaggy. Man, I did it. Cale, I really hope you survive, and if you don't, shame on me. I'll tell you, I've been hammering down the curses on people, and I hope that didn't just do it. I should have kept it in until we get the next caution. I'm sorry if I jinx you here. But we are definitely rooting for you up in the booth tonight, Cale Bixler. Now that he's back in the States a little bit, has been able to race a little more regularly, but Cale's a guy who I started racing with in the afternoons years ago when he was overseas. And, well, we're glad to have Cale back here in the States. And he's ready to drop the hammer with us. He's the leader here as the green flag is high. He drops it. We're back underway. Tough restart for Roger Craig on the outside. The Librarian with a good jump. And Well, there's such thing as getting too good of a restart in the 789 of Cale Bixler. Maybe wishing he didn't get off to that great big jump. He's going to have a pack of Hornets rolling. It's to the outside. Oh, you can't bump draft. Whoa, Zedeker almost got into the back of the 41, and man, the mayhem would have ensued. This is that second pack trying to run down Cale Bixler, and I'll tell you what, Cale telling me right where to shove it. He's doing a good job of walking away with these things. What do I know? I'm used to the NASCAR version. Maybe you break out a little bit, you can drive off. These guys going to have to work together behind if they want to run down Cale Bixler, who is almost 3/4 of a second up the road. Now, they were slowly reeling him back in there if you pay attention to the standings. Got him about 1/10 and a half, and now they're 4 wide behind. Oh, you knew that was going to happen. Cars spinning all over the racetrack, and man, we caught that. We knew it was going to happen. Jump back to it, and man. You go 3 wide, we saw trouble. You go 4 wide, well, this is what happens in the Delaras. Let's go up top here. See if we can find a good camera for this. Not the one we want. 4 wide, 1 car down below the apron. Purple car maybe gets a little bit nervous. That's Steve Maurer. Hooks the 131 of Stu Wright, and just like that, hard wreck. You see, I believe, who is that? Greg Parmalee. Yeah, he had went down into the grass. Then after he comes back up, gets into the back of GJ Boydell, who's somehow able to drive through the mess, but we're under caution once again here at Daytona. And he survived the jinx here. Not too often that happens. Let's see. Is he going on pit road? He is. We'll talk to him after. We'll see if the plan is to try to go the rest of the way. Excuse me. If he thinks this is the final stop of his race, we'll let him do his pit stop. We'll try and get a word here with the 789. Oh, a little contact there in pit road. Tim Chapman actually wins that race off pit road. And good pit stop there for the 37 of Tim Chapman. But let's see here. Got shifted back a little bit, but definitely still in this thing. Maybe not the pit stop he intended, but that's what he got. Cale, Shaggy up in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You know, you're running up front there. You decided to come down pit road. Can we make it the rest of the way on gas, do you think? Or do you got to come in one more time?
It's going to be coming down to the last lap for sure.
Now, with that being said here, Cale, what kind of, what's the game plan here? Do you just want to get in line and draft? Maybe try to save some gas? Or do you want to get out front again and try to set the pace? What are you going to do?
I like to get up front and set that pace, but that's easier said than done for sure.
Amen. Well, it looks like you got a hot rod tonight. That thing's pretty quick. Good luck, Cale. We'll be rooting for you.
Thanks, Shaggy.
That's Cale Bixler in the 789 rolling around. And right now he's right behind that identical car there of Zeneker. Scott in the 143. Out front, lights are off on the pace car. Gonna dive down. We're gonna get ready to roll here. Green flag is high. 23 laps to go at the Daytona International Speedway. as some drivers have a rough start, especially here in the back of the pack. Really going to space out here early. Maybe exactly what Steve Maurer wanted to see. Let's find a look. Let's go down. Let's wait for him on the backstretch. Front three, close enough to do their own thing. I think if they decide to, if they want to play nice with each other. But it's all going to be up to what's in that driver's helmet. Do they play nice up front, save some gas, maybe rotate and swap, or do they make Steve Maurer stay out front and pick through the air? As they wanted to go back, it looked like Pat was going to think about going to the top here. As Tim Chapman makes a move, he doesn't want to stay in line right now. He wants to go out front. Safest place to be in the 37. Looking to make a charge here late. Looking upstairs. Steve runs him up the track a little bit. No harm, no foul. Side by side through 3 and 4. One mistake. It's going to happen in front of the whole field, but they're able to settle down. 3 drivers in your screen within 0.2 of a second as we come across the line. 21 to go. Take a look back here. Got a little battle going on. That is Cale Bixler and Stu Wright. John Rayner a little bit up the road from them. Back behind them, they're lining up, trying to get in line. The Yoo-Hoo machine, Terry Landis. Can he get the chocolate water back in the race? He's going to need some help from that Looney Tunes machine. GJ Boydell, he's a lap down right now, but always a quick race car, and Terry's going to have to use him to try to get to the front. As Scott Zeneker loops down through pit road at the halfway point, no caution. As we continue, the front 3 about 2 seconds up the road. The librarian, he's branched out, doing his own thing as the boys run side by side behind him. Cale Bixler trying to find a way around the 302 of John Rayner. 7, 8, 9, gonna need to line up, go for another shot at this thing. The longer you stay to the outside, the more side draft you suck, the slower you two are gonna go. You gotta make it one shot, but man, oh man, he's relentless. Gonna stay to the outside. You gotta wonder, how many more attempts do you go before you just line back up and say, hey, let's work together here, man. We both got the same goal. If we don't get to the front, we're not gonna be able to play at the end. Pack racing back here in the back, and they're going to race hard because I'll tell you, they wouldn't mind a caution. They're going to need one to get back into this thing here as Terry Landis side by side almost gets into the 4th Greg Parmalee, but Greg does a good job going up the hill as they cross the stripe here, 18 to go. Back up to the front. Let's take a peek. The front 3 still running in a line single file. As Pat Boyce still all alone in P4 trying to run them down. And these two, here goes Cale Bixler back to the outside with an angry pack of bees buzzing behind him 2 by 2 by 2. They are just relentless right now. Nobody wants to be patient. Everybody wants to go. And, well, if you want to make up time, you need to let the front 2 drivers just kind of slingshot each other. Let them do their own thing. That driver in 3rd, just stay close. Don't take some air off the rear spoiler of the car in front. But here they come. They're ready to play. Cale Bixler. Oh, man, that was a close one. Cale maybe deciding, hey, I've got to... Oh, no! He yanks it up to the right, able to keep it straight. But Cale Bixler, that was a close one. And, man, that's where you're glad damage is turned off for Cale. That may have been the end of his race in the 789. His dad up towards the front. Steve Bixler running around in a patient 3rd place. Just making sure he survives till the end. And, well, if you're there on the final lap, that's when the mayor knows you're safe to strike. Let's ride on the roll bar here of the 75 till we come around to the starter stand. Just very smooth, and you can tell, being patient, not hammering that throttle the whole way. Doesn't need to, trying to save gas, and with 15 to go, that's got to be what's going through some of these drivers' heads. Steve Maurer hasn't pit since lap 12. Steve Bixler hasn't pit since lap 12. The rest of the field pit on lap 16. Will that come into play? As, man, they're bouncing around all but 3 wide going down the backstretch. Roger Craig trying to come out on top. Oh, hold on, Greg. He's able to do just that. Man, oh man, the 94. Excuse me, that was Gary Offit, not Greg Parmalee. Gary Offit able to go. Oh, Greg Boydell up into the wall. And we got a big wreck on the front stretch, and that's going to bring out another caution here at Daytona. Your 5th caution of the evening. We saw it happen. You knew it was coming. Guys racing hard here. Trying to find their way back up to the front. And I believe it starts with this 014 of GJ Boydell. He gets a little help from a car down in the basement. That's the Bassman Roger Craig. I think Roger clips the apron. He does. You can see it just steers the car, loses it, tries to catch it, floats back up, and, well, for Greg, unfortunate, but he's there. He's the one who receives the blessing from the Bassman. And look at Terry Landis singing I Believe I Can Fly. Gary Offit right behind him. Does the Desert Demon keep on rolling? Oh, man, then he gets an angel. He was hooked into the wall. Okay, all right, Terry. That's it. That's it. Let's see it. You earned it. You earned it. Let's go on board. I mean, this is crazy. Full speed. I mean, he's looking up at the sky, hits the wall, gets wrapped up in the wall in kind of a glitch. You can see him trying to, like, turn his way out of it. Then he gets hit, pops himself out of the wall, and Terry says, man, it's go time. Thank you. As up front, I think we're going to see the majority of drivers come down pit road here, make sure they're good to go on fuel. But this is where you take tires. Personally, me, no, I want the track position. I think that is much more important. What we're about to find out here is, let's hop into that pit road camera. Let's see here what the race off pit road is going to look like. Steve Maurer came in front. He was your leader. Tim Chapman looking like he's going to win the race off pit road. Good pit stop for that 37. Is everybody coming off? GJ Boydell still a lap down. Will he be able to get back onto the lead lap? He's running out of time. John Rayner, he last pit. Actually, the previous lap there, some drivers pit early. It's telling me he pit on lap 27. Not sure if Tim, okay, he's gonna maybe get to go around those guys. He should, yeah, if they didn't hit on the correct lap. And well, the 37, he's gonna inherit the lead. Prime spot with 12 to go. What's going through his head out front? Well, if you're wondering, so am I. Let's go down, take a peek here. Run down and see if we can't get a word. Tim, your son in the booth, you got a copy? Hey, Dad, Discord button, your son in the booth, you got a copy? Well, maybe not working for him here properly this evening, but we'll hop back up to the booth. Hopefully he can get that figured out if he'd finish on the podium here this evening. But doesn't look like we're going to get a word with the 37 at the moment. Let's see if we can steal someone else. What's the pace car situation look like? See if we can get the Maurer Farm management man, Steve Maurer, up here. See if we can get a word with him. Currently P2. Steve, Shaggy up in the booth, man. You got a copy? Hey, Steve, Shaggy up in the booth, man. You got a copy? Well, now I'm wondering here. I don't see him popping up talking. Now I'm wondering if Shaggy has a Discord problem. That wouldn't be good. I did interviews with people earlier, and I heard them just fine. But let's go down here. We'll send him back home. Let's see here. Can we talk to him? Greg, Shaggy in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you. You got me?
Yeah, okay. All right. You were kind of more of a safety check because I'm going to be honest with you, the last two people I tried, none of them mic'd back, but we see you going around getting that lead lap back, and, you know, man, it's Daytona. 11 laps, plenty of time, but how important is this restart coming up?
This is going to be ultra important if I can get around there in time. Yeah, guys are driving pretty tight here, so we'll see what we can do.
Well, drivers in the middle of 3 and 4, Greg, you should catch them. If not, you'll be going full speed, so it'll be a good show. But good luck here, man. We're rooting for you.
Thanks. Maybe we'll try the pass in the grass here, see what happens.
All righty, I'm rooting for you. Go get him, Greg. That's the Iron Man, Greg Boydell. And, well, I know now that it is not my problem. So these guys maybe just clicking the wrong mic button, maybe not linked up, but hey, hopefully they get it figured out. Here's the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. We're back underway at the Daytona International Speedway. 10 laps to go for the 37 of Tim Chapman, who absolutely nails the restart. And, man, a lot of guys caught sleeping here. Let's go sit. Let's wait out of turn 2. Let's look at this gap. Tim with over a second lead. Steve Maurer, big gap over John Rayner. They've got to figure something out here. They're running out of time. John Rayner holding on to that third and final podium spot, but he's 2 seconds back here. He's got 2 quick cars behind him, and here comes one to the top shelf. That's 789 of Cale Bixler, looking to do it in overtime here. He is going quick at the Daytona International Speedway. Roger Craig moving to the outside of Stu Wright as he tries to make a pass. Can the 747 find a way around? Cale Bixler looking up, but looking low. Steve Maurer, he's trying to hold on to P2. They're looking up the road at Tim Chapman. Quite a way to go, 1.6 seconds. Gonna have to work together if this thing stays green. 8 laps to go. 3 lined up upstairs. Steve all alone, getting a little bit of help now. Cale Bixler baits John into staying upstairs. He moves low. They make a little bit of contact. John Rayner hard into the outside wall, able to keep rolling. Cars dive to the inside. Oh, baby, John Rayner able to hold on, but man out front, Tim, nobody happier than this man in the 37 as we stay green. 7 laps to go as they cross the stripe. Battle for second, 1.9 seconds away. Gonna need help here if they want to go up there and get in this battle. Greg Parmalee coming to play in that blue and white Nationwide machine. Oh, the Desert Demon upstairs. There's a little bump, though, in front of us. Cale Bixler gets sent low. Man, oh, man, these guys got the gloves off. Greg Boydell, he's up to P6. But with that spacious restart, that's not what he needed in the 014. Gonna need some serious help here if he wants to get up onto the podium. Contact behind. The Bassman keeps it straight. We continue. Steve Maurer rolling around, trying to hold off Cale Bixler. Pat Boyce and Greg Parmalee. Two more looking to join the party here. Stu Wright looking to the outside of Greg Boydell. And you don't want to suck air off the side of that car and slow down, Greg. You two got to work together if you want to get up there. You're only going to make this issue last a little longer. But the PBR man cracked one open and he moves on up to P2, the Librarian. Everybody should be good on gas, but contact, man, oh man, no damage. Remember, they're going to continue. No caution flag. Pat Boyce going to park it on the racetrack, and well, other drivers continued. I know it wouldn't have been that fun, but man, oh man, forcing a caution here in the late stages. Only 4 laps to go. See Steve on the inside. He gets bounced up into, and there, well, maybe, you know, you wanna keep it straight. I guess come to a stop there. Play the nice game, but boy, oh boy, that is really gonna affect the outcome of this race here late. We'll see here when we refire. It might be a green-white checkered situation. Our first attempt here at the Daytona International Speedway. Great racing here tonight. Guys going 4 wide, and well, it didn't work, but they tried it. You gotta love it here. They're really letting it all hang out and trying to put on a good show the best they know how. And they are not disappointing. Whoa, Steve Maurer coming around catching up to the field. That was a close call. Some drivers opting to come down pit road. Now, the only way I'm coming down pit road is to grab the least amount of fuel possible, because weight is a big deal in these things. You don't want to have it too heavy. You want to make sure you have enough to get to the end, but really that's all you want. You don't want much more than that. I have to see what happens here at the Daytona International Speedway when we go back green, our first attempt at a green-white checkered finish. May not be going back green this time, but either way, it will be a green-white checkered finish. And the more pace laps we do, the more drivers might sweat about that fuel. If you do the auto fuel button, this is where it can catch you. It's only going to give you enough fuel to finish the race. It didn't program that green-white checkered in there for you. As I hiccup, my apologies. But drivers need to be aware of that. And, you know, if you're really that close, might be worth diving down pit road, just grabbing a splash of gas and trying to survive the mayhem that is going to happen on this last lap. Tim's going to hope that he can just absolutely nail this restart again. But Cale Bixler's going to do his best to stay as close as he can. If Tim can get a big jump, about 1.2 seconds again, if he can get the 1.2, that is going to be tough to make up in 2 laps here. Draft not as significant as in, you know, a NASCAR car, like a truck or an Xfinity car, the Cup car. They're just, you know, more blocky. They're much more air dependent. And if a car in front of you is plowing the air, it's going to help you out. But these things, man, they're just, I mean, look at how slick they are. They're made to go fast. That's what they're designed to do. They're sleek. The car in front, you are going to get tow. Don't get me wrong. You're definitely going to get tow, but it's not going to be what you're possibly used to in another car. But roll around. The lights are off on the pace car this time, as you see, and we're going to get ready to go back racing at the Daytona International Speedway. Cars rolling around here. Tail end of the line right now, I believe. That's not Bob Curtis. That's Zeneker. Yeah, but he's 2 laps down, not able to get back on the lead lap. Like I say, I'm pretty sure it's within the 5 or 10. You can't get your laps back. So with the green, white checkered coming, you got to keep yourself on the lead lap if you want a chance to go at the win here this evening. GJ Boydell stuck on pit road. He's not going to be able to go for it. Tim Chapman in the 37 looking to bring one home tonight. He's oh so close. Gonna have 5 miles to go when we get the green flag. Does he have enough gas left in the tank? And the drivers behave behind him. There's a couple mistakes here. May get a couple green, white checkers. And, well, that's not what you want. I clicked the camera a little early. My apologies. Still rolling through 4. About to come off now. As you see the Sunoco Race Fuel sign. The Steve King Foundation pace car is ready to pull off. Lights are out. First attempt at a green-white checkered. The 37 drops the hammer, and we're underway at Daytona. Great restart for the 789 of Cale Bixler, who's not going to let Tim get away. But it's looking like a 2-car race. Steve Maurer maybe missed the gear. Terry Landis moving up into that 3rd and final podium spot. But this is what we're going to watch. This is the race out front going down the backstretch as cars bouncing around. No caution waves just yet. No caution. We stay green. Tim allows Cale Bixler to go around. Maybe some strategy involved in there. And I'll tell you what, if there was some, I'm proud of him because that's what I would have done. Let the leader go, try to run him down, and with the white flag flying, this race is going to be over once they cross the line again. 3 wide, battling back here for 5th. 2 of them make contact. Maurer and Parmalee go around. Leaders going down the backstretch for the final time. The 37 of Tim Chapman with a big run. He looks up to the top shelf. Don't slam the door shut just yet. Stay up there. Play nice. Side by side through 3 and 4 for the final time. Can Tim get it done on the outside? Cale makes a mistake on the inside. Coming to the checkered flag, and Tim Chapman takes home the feature at Daytona International Speedway, followed by the 789 of Cale Bixler, and the Desert Demon Terry Landis rounds out the podium. Steve Bixler 4th, and the Librarian bringing home P5. But I'll tell you what, move of the race there, Tim Chapman on the white flag lap. Or with coming to the white flag lap, you pull out of the way. You make that conscious decision. Let the guy go around you. Use that little bit of toe to your advantage on the final lap. And that's exactly what the 37 of Tim Chapman does. As we ride on the roll bar, you're going to see coming out of 2. Gets right in line. Big run. Moves to the top shelf. Cale makes him feel uncomfortable. That's exactly what you got to do. You got to break up that momentum a little bit. Tim knew he couldn't shut the door. He stays up there. Puts the pressure on Cale. Cale is coming back with a big run, but just clips the apron. Does an amazing job of not wrecking himself and the 37. But man, he's going to be happy with P2. He would have loved the win, but great finish nonetheless here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. These guys, man, they race hard, they race clean, they don't disappoint. And we're going to talk to one of the drivers here who finished in that top 3. The Desert Demon, Terry Landis, is your 3rd place finisher. let's see here if we can pull the milkman up and, well, let's see what the chocolate man has to say. Terry Landis, an eventful last lap. You bring home another podium, man. How you feeling?
Oh, what a crazy ending.
Yeah, you know, what's going through your head there? I know it's kind of out of your control, but with 2 to go, third place, bungles the restart a little bit. And, you know, there at the end, you're just kind of battling for third. But how do you fight through that? I mean, how do you work hard? How do you keep your attitude up?
You just gotta, try and keep it as straight as you can. And even if you gotta lift a little bit, just roll out the gas a little bit, just keep the car settled down and then get back in it and go on.
Yeah, you know, you were the meat and the sandwich there going down the backstretch. Yeah. Roger goes to the inside, Steve to the outside. What are you thinking there? Did you feather the throttle just to save yourself, or were you hammered down?
Oh, heck no, I rolled out of that gas pretty good. Let Roger go by me on the inside, and I looked over and it was on the right side, but yeah, I didn't stay hammered down.
Well, hey, man, you're able to survive once again. Another podium for you, Terry. Congratulations, my man. Who you want to thank?
Oh, thank you, Shaggy, for putting the show on, because you're one of the best. And Yoo-Hoo and Kreitzel Track Parts and Galen's Homegrown Popcorn. Put cart in the code and you'll get 50% off. And the masked, the masked
Masked
race.
Avenger, your race team, yeah.
Yeah. That guy for putting it on, and my wife Judy.
Well, hey, hell of a job, Terry, man. Oh, go ahead.
Shout out to your dad too. That was a heck of a race.
Yeah, finally able to put one together on a broadcast. Normally he does well when I'm out sick or I miss it, but finally able to do it tonight. But hey, man, congratulations, double podium, and I'll be looking for you tomorrow at Hometown Heroes. Good luck, brother.
Oh yeah, I'll be there. Thanks, Shaggy.
The Desert Demon Terry Landis bringing home P3, and now we'll bring up the man who finished P2. Cale Bixler, man, Cale, you went back and forth with my dad. Seemed like you had a run there through 3 and 4, but that apron just snuck out and bit you. But man, hell of a save to hold on for second. That had to be a wild ride.
Yeah, it was just a ton of fun. I didn't want to get into Tim, and so we were talking down in the room. I said I didn't want to come up and get you. I couldn't see where you're at. I'd rather hit that yellow line that come up and ruin your night. So he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, man, just to, you guys playing cat and mouse with each other. I think he just happened to be the cat at the right point in time, going down the backstretch, able to take some draft and, go around the top shelf. But when you get that run through 3 and 4, before you clip that apron, man, did you think you had a chance to steal that one back because you were coming quick?
Yeah, I think so. I think I could have got him, but he was so fast too. So I don't know how he was doing on the outside. Like I said, I couldn't see him, but I know he was going to be right there next to me. So,
well, Cale, you played the smart. As I choke, give me a second. My apologies, choking on my own spit. Cale, you had a great run tonight, man. Just one step short of the top one, but for somebody that is newer to a lot of people, I got to race with you in the afternoon, man. It's been awesome seeing you out on the racetrack with us, and you get rewarded with a big P2. Congratulations. Who you want to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank Coast to Coast, Mauer Farm Management, Schroeder Angus, Flatline Racing Bodies, and then just everybody that puts these on. If it wasn't for you and Marty, you guys do a lot for us, and then everybody else in the league that just gives everything they got. So I really appreciate everybody.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate the good racing, and you and my dad really put one on tonight. That's something to be proud of. Congratulations, Cale, and the win's coming soon, brother.
Yeah, congratulations to Tim. He did a good job.
That's your P2 finisher, Cale Bixler. And, well, now we bring up the man of the hour here, the man who maybe won't admit it, but I know my voice was going through his head with 2 to go. And, Dad, you pull over, you let Cale go by, and possibly the move of the race, get a big run going down the backstretch, and you make a pass for the lead. What's going through your head?
Well, I thought he was going to get me back there at the end, but I was committed. I just hung in there, and it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, going with a couple laps to go there, I think 4 or 5, we get a caution. What's going through your head when you have such a big lead out front?
You probably know the answer to that. I really didn't want to see that. I was actually pulling away.
Yeah, it seems like if you can get a good restart and maybe get over that 0.7 of a second mark, you can kind of pull away. And I know coming to the final restart, green, white, checkered, that's got to be your goal. That's what you want to do. But when you look up in that rearview mirror and you see Kale absolutely nails the restart, is that when you think, hey, maybe I got to try some strategy here?
Well, I knew he had the run coming, so there was nothing I could do about it other than try and block him, and I didn't want to wreck us. So, I just let him have it and, just recovered and got my run back at him, and it worked out for me.
Well, hey, man, hell of a run. Finally able to keep it on the track, keep it all together, and you end up with a top step of the podium. Congratulations, Dad. Who you want to thank?
Well, Mauer Farm Management and the Mask Avenger, whoever that is, and thank everybody at the league, Roger, and everybody behind the scenes, and you for doing the broadcast.
Well, hey, great job. Congratulations, and I'm sure I'll talk to you on the phone here in a little bit.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you.
That's my dad there, Tim Chapman, getting it done here in the Dallara DW12s. Man, we got some good racing action in there, especially at the end. Terry battling hard to bring home that final step of the podium. And these two putting on a show that final lap side by side through 3 and 4. But Cale Bixler just gets nipped by that monster down there on the flat, able to hold on and bring home a P2. But what could have been for that 7, 8, 9, but I'm sure this 37, he's going to take it as he parks in victory lane, grabs the checkered flag. That brings our night of action here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network to a close. On behalf of all the sponsors, Mauer Farm Management, the Masked Avenger Race Team, Extreme E-Speed TV, Flatline Racing Bodies, A&J Custom Creations. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch. I'm trying to name them all off. Well, sometimes I forget. Sometimes I slip. I'm trying to get y'all. You all know who you are. This show couldn't run without you guys. You're the oil that keeps it going. And I'm Zach Chapman from Shaggy TV, signing off. Have a great evening.